Chapter 17. Lian. As I enter the tent, I squint at the light of the sconces. The space is packed with Mongans. They all stand because there is no room to sit. There are hundreds of them at least. All those eyes turn to me, all those mouths open in shock. As fear floods my system and perspiration pools on my back, I can sense that many of them are apprehensive at my appearance. A Puresoul at the heart of their never-visited territory. I've arrived in the middle of Daton's trial. Minera, the Mongan's Oracle, whom I remember from her conversation with Daton, is mid-sentence as she notices me. But my eyes, my soul, are immediately drawn to him. Daton is the only Mongan sitting on the ground. One leg spread on the ground, the other folded. His arm is draped over his knee, his head held high. He's not chained. There's no trace of the broken man that left me near a waterfall. No evidence of the fissures in his soul. He doesn't look like a prisoner awaiting a verdict. He looks like a king. Even in the middle of his trial, he looks like a king watching over his domain. A halo of power and dominance surrounds him. My lungs contract at this. How was I so blind? How could I spend all that time with him, intimately, and not realize what he is? Daton said their religion forbids them from having a king. It is considered a challenge to the goddess. Well, I don't know what word in Mongan describes what he is, but in his worn-out Mongan clothes, sitting on the ground with no throne and no crown, he is more of a king than any royal I've seen. And I feel abashed at how blind I was. At first, I only saw his brutality, and then I saw other things, and it all distracted me. I feel stupid and vain that I came here thinking he would need me among his subjects. Our eyes meet, and he stiffens, but he keeps his expression blank. Yet I swear his eyes are obsidian black again. No trace of those starry eyes I once saw. I feel his scorn burn me, and I blush under it. He doesn't want me here. He left you, you idiot. Of course he does not want you here. What is the meaning of this? Minera cries in anger and gestures at me with her hands, but the question is for Daton. It is an accusing question, and I can see Daton's jaws lock even harder than before. I don't wait for him to explain what he cannot. I step forward, hoping my jitteriness will go unnoticed, and say, "The demichads are back." I say it in Mongan. The people gasp in shock. I hear murmurs near me.
He taught her our language.
My presence here seems to worsen his position instead of helping him. "We know," Minera says curtly. Then she asks slowly, as if I am an idiot that can barely comprehend her.
"Why are you here?"
Her dismissing the return of the demichads alarms me. I assume Daton already told them of the demichads' return. Doesn't she believe him? "I'm here to help you defeat the demichads," I answer, struggling to keep my voice steady. It is true. That is why I am here. And mentioning saving Daton would only escalate his situation further. And does he even need me to save him?
Ha ha ha!
Minera howls in laughter.
"We don't need the help of heretics,"
she says, waving me off. Then she turns to the crowd.
"The heretic presence here is only proof of his sins to the goddess."
She points at Daton accusingly.
"He has taught her our language."
She throws her hands in the air dramatically. I can feel the anger pervade the tent.
"She knows where our camp is."
Now she points to me, malevolence in her words.
"And now we are all exposed to a heretic's attack. for she is stupid enough to lead them to us.
The crowd murmurs in agreement. A Mongan woman in the crowd steps forward. Her hair is braided back, and she wears a Mongan necklace and plain dress. I recognize her as Emek, the woman who cared for me and fed me while I was a captive here.
This is not right,
she calls loudly, and they all go quiet.
To even consider to stone to death the emancipator. This is not right. How many of you sitting here were enslaved, but set free by him?
She raises her hand as if to say this was her fate. An astonishing number of people raise their hands and cry in support. I'm almost dizzy from the quick turn of events. The crowd was so enraged at Daton, and now it flipped.
No one denies he has done great things for our people,
Minera says, gesturing with her hands in a reassuring manner.
But he has gone vain from the adoration.
Her voice is accusing again.
So vain that he thought he could make his own law, that he presumed to disobey the law of the goddess.
You mean he disobeyed you? Emek says wryly. The astonishment on everyone's faces is evident. Minera is appalled, as if Emek had stabbed her in the heart. But Emek doesn't waver.
I have served the goddess under your guidance for the past 50 years. It is not Daton who has gone vain.
I feel as if I accidentally ran into a gladiator fight, for the amusement of the king. I glance at Daton. He watches the exchange, his face reticent. He doesn't even glance in my direction.
Are you turning against me?
Minera cries. The insult and hurt in her voice are loud.
Me, the mother of the people, after all I have sacrificed.
She hits her chest expressively. Daton told me of Minera's sacrifice. Her 7 sons were all killed by Aldonians who tried to force her bow to sun.
You sacrificed everything so our people would continue to worship the goddess.
Emek's voice remains undaunted.
But it is time we choose our leaders not by their sacrifice in the past, but by their promise of a future. A future in which our children will not need to make the same sacrifices. In all of our history, we were never so few, so hunted. And now the demichads come to hunt us too. And you want us to stone the emancipator of all people. And for what? For not wanting to follow the ways of the heretics, the ways in which they treat their females. He handicapped our greatest warrior,
a man from the audience calls in anger, and I wonder if he's referring to the Mongan warrior who tracked us down, Nero. Another man jeers.
So great, he handicapped him in less than 5 minutes.
And the people around him snicker. I frown at the way they mock something like that. Emek shushes them with her hands and says solemnly,
He hurt one of our greatest warriors, and he was exiled for it.
But then her voice goes bitter, and she turns to Minera.
But it was not enough for you, was it? Will you let her talk to me this way?
Minera turns to the crowd.
She is only protecting her brother-in-law, not fighting for justice for you all.
Was I treated and fed by Bagiva's sister? The realization dawns on me.
Enough.
Daton snaps and stands up. Everyone goes silent. He doesn't look at me as he speaks. He hasn't even really acknowledged my presence.
Stone me, or don't. I don't give a fuck,
he says as he steps casually to the center of the tent. His gait is casual, and it only makes him more dominant. No one in the crowd dares to breathe. Minera goes apprehensive, and it's as if she's lost 2 feet of her height just by his nearness.
The demichads are awakening in greater numbers than ever,
Daton says, his tone scornful. And all you do is fight with one another, while the only person able to stop them is standing here being ignored. He points at me, his eyes on me all of a sudden. My heart skips a beat as his eyes burn me with their intensity. I gasp, hating him for still having this effect on me. He walked away from me. He could be the king of the asses for all I care. I'm so busy pulling myself out of his lure that it takes me a minute to realize everyone in the crowd looks perplexed. Their eyes dart between Daton and me. You believe the Princess of Aldon can defeat the demichads? A man asks Daton in bafflement. Daton looks at me, his face full of emotion I can't read. I saw it with my own eyes, he says quietly. The demicad preyed on everything on sight. The men and the horses. It only spared her and the woman she protected. And she can summon nature by her will. She has done so with dire wolves and with vultures, he tells them. I swallow hard. What will he say when he realizes I can do none of that now? I will not have it! Minera yells. She looks like she's going to have a heart attack. We will not follow a heretic. We will sacrifice to the goddess, and she will protect us. But then, of all people, Nero, the man whose leg Daton broke, comes forward. He is almost tall as Daton, and I can see how his proximity to him is enough for guilt to wash over Daton's face. Nero's leg has been amputated. Mongans have no healing, no remedies. In Renya, his leg would have been saved, but they had to amputate it here to save his life. He stands on his other leg and leans on a crutch. Daton will lead us against the demichads. The heretic will help him, Nero says definitively. Daton starts. I didn't. But no one hears the rest of it as Minera starts yelling again. Lead? Lead? He is exiled! He is to be stoned to death, not leading! But Nero speaks again, his voice rising in anger. He made me! He hits his chest in emphasis. A cripple! By law, I get to decide on his redemption. And his redemption is not to be stoned. He is saving us from the demichads. Then he takes a step back and says in a sardonic voice. And if a demicad bites off his ass in the course of it, even better. The crowd cracks up, laughing. It was funny, but not that funny. I assume the laughter plays a big part in the need to release the tension. Minera starts protesting again, but another woman speaks now. Her hair is all white, and she is hunched and missing her teeth. The reverence for her is evident as they all go quiet. There are not many Mongans who get to such an age. She must be nearly 300 to look so old. She who is not followed cannot call herself a leader. The congregation has spoken. You are not the Oracle any longer. Emek is the new Oracle. Mirth pervades the crowd at the old woman's announcement, and Emek is nearly trampled as people approach to greet her. I stand and watch them as my mind struggles to comprehend what happened in merely several minutes. Daton quickly grabs my hand and drags me away from the tent. He keeps pulling me until we are out of the central circle, away from everyone. It is night already, and the air of the swamps is less suffocating. But the stench of rotten eggs is the same. That was a foolish thing to do, he growls at me. His hand doesn't let go of mine, and he is so close to me despite how much space is around us. His scent penetrates the stench of the swamps. And I want nothing more than to nuzzle his neck, that soft spot where his scent is the thickest. Damn him! I need to get over him. Seriously? I snap, pulling my hand away. The anger from needing him stirs in me. A simple thanks would be just fine. You were very close to getting yourself hanged in the entrance, he hisses, and nods in the direction of the hanging corpses, and I shiver. What I just saw in the central tent doesn't coincide with those bodies. The children were running around, the men and women arguing and laughing. Well, it was very stupid of you to get captured by them, I tell him. They didn't capture me, he snorts. I came to warn them about the demichads. So he willingly got himself into a death trial. What was he thinking? And how did that work out for you? I say with derisiveness. Daton chuckles at that. You got me there. I hate it when he smiles. All those creases around his eyes make me all supple inside. He needs to stop smiling. As if he reads my mind, the smile dies on his face. He buries his hands in his pockets. I don't deserve you coming here to save me. No shit. Did I say I came here to save you? Or that I came to end the demichads? He nods. Still, I want. But the last thing I need is for him to explain or apologize. So I cut him off. I don't want to hear it. I didn't come here for you. Right. He looks a bit taken aback by my sharpness. Maybe it's hurt in his eyes. Maybe it's my imagination. So, how are you going to stop the demichads exactly? Asks a familiar voice. I turn to find Emek looking at us both with her mouth in a smirk. Emek takes me to a tent in her family's circle. There are 7 tents spread around the fire. Clothes hang out to dry on one side of the circle, and there is kitchenware on the other side. Several wooden logs surround the fire pit. Some Mongans sit on those logs, including one man holding a baby while talking to another man, and 2 women sitting together. Their eyes go wide as they notice us.
Kala, help Lian settle in. She'll stay in our circle for now,
Emek says to one of the women. Kala's black hair is up in a bun. She wears black eyeliner and her lips are painted blood red. The woman sitting beside her resembles her so much that I assume they are twins. The second woman has beautiful curly black hair that reaches her waist. As she stands up, I notice her wooden necklace and the Mongan dress she managed to turn into a flattering outfit.
I'm Shana,
she says with a smile.
Oh, you are so pretty.
And to my shock, she twirls a strand of my hair with her fingers.
Kala, her hair is so soft,
Shana cries to her twin, and Emek smacks Shana's hand away.
For fuck's sake. She's our guest, not your doll, so behave yourself, she mutters. Yes, mother,
they both say at the same time. Mother? They look the same age as her. Maybe a few years younger, but certainly not enough to be her children.
You really can't swear anymore, though, now that you're the Oracle.
Shana squeaks, and they both burst out laughing. Emek snorts and rolls her eyes, but I swear there's a smirk there for a second before she scolds them again.
Have you seen Daton?
She dragged me away from him to show me the camp and apparently lost him in the process.
Last seen avoiding a number of shameless women,
Shana says and giggles. Giggles? How old is she, for goddess's sake? I stiffen and can't help the possessive anger that stirs in me. I can feel Emek's eyes on me, one of her eyebrows rising. Damn it. The woman is perceptive. Emek sighs.
And where is your father? Last seen with 2 bottles of brie,
Kala drawls.
For fuck's sake.
Emek grunts in frustration and walks away without another word.
Come, Lian. You can take Anna Shosh's tent. She just passed her maturity test and got a tent with all the singles.
Kala says and leads me inside a tent similar to the one I stayed in on my last visit to the swamps. If you can call being captive a visit. Shana joins us in the tent with a bucket of water. Oh, a bath would be great, thank you, I say to her. But they glance at each other and shake their heads.
Fresh water is scarce in the swamps, but you can wash your face, armpits, and privates.
Kala explains and hands me a clean cloth. Heat rises to my cheeks. I never seem to manage to avoid the privileged princess act in the swamps.
How often do you bathe in Modos?
Shauna asks. Once every 3 days, mostly. But in Renya, they bathe every day. They have water coming out of the wall. No need to go to the watering hole, I explain.
Water out of the wall! Imagine that!
Shauna exclaims.
A bath every day. What a dream, Kala groans. Well, we'll find you some clean clothes,
Kala says, gesturing with a frown at my Aldonian army uniform.
I can do your makeup if you want. Niska brought new stuff for us from...
Kala, the baby is hungry, a man's voice calls outside the tent.
Oh, you must be hungry too, she says to me. We have a goat stew left from Anna Shosh's maturity party. It's very rare that we get to eat meat, so it's quite a treat.
Shauna smiles at me. While the goat stew doesn't sound highly appetizing, I am famished, and it sounds better than Roram. Besides, Daton mentioned that not accepting food from your host is considered a great insult. I tremble at the memory of Emmek's face as I spat my food when she first fed me. I'm pretty sure she was restraining herself from murdering me then. I follow them outside, and Shauna fixes me a bowl of stew while Kala sits on a wood log, and the man hands her a baby. He has a full head of dark hair, but I don't see any horns. I only now realize that the children I've seen didn't have horns either. He doesn't have any horns, I wonder out loud.
We're not born with horns. The horns only start to grow at 10, which is the most lethal age for Mongans, since the horns emerge but the strength to defend from hunters still doesn't. When Mongans reach the age of 20, they already have their full-grown horns. We can tell a Mongan age by facial features, but it would be easier probably through the horns for you. At the age of 20, the horns are still soft and flexible. At that point, the Mongan looks like a 20-year-old Shavir in every aspect, and will remain this way until the age of 100. The horns harden entirely at that time. Once the Mongan reaches 100, the Mongan will appear as a 30-year-old Shavir. At 200, the horns darken and the Mongan starts looking like a 40-year-old Shavir. But in their last century, the aging accelerates and they appear older and older every decade. The Mongan who declared Emmek as the new oracle is 297 years old, and she is the oldest Mongan alive. Once the horns start to grow, Mongans can't survive without them. Daton is the only Mongan to survive without a piece of his horn, and some believe it has actually made him stronger than all the other Mongans.
The baby gets impatient with Kala's explanation and she exposes her breast. I can't help but stare as the baby feeds on her. What? She looks at me and raises her eyebrows. I've just never seen a woman breastfeed before. My cheeks heat up in embarrassment.
Not even your mother?
Kala frowns. Royals don't breastfeed. They hire a wet nurse to do that, and the wet nurse makes certain never to be seen. I explain, and I hide my shudder at the mere thought of the consequences of a woman exposing her breast in public in Aldan.
To let another feed your own child. How strange the heretics are,
Kala marvels.
Strange indeed,
Shauna agrees.
You must tell us of all their strange ways. We've never met a live heretic before, only saw their corpses hanging. You are the only heretic to ever meet the Emancipator and remain alive.
I cringe at her words, for I believe they are true, and that he has killed so many. But not me and not my sister on my behalf.